This is Eric Beyer of Old Vine, Texas, a new winery tasting room featuring 100% Texas wines from wineries all over the state. We are located in Mansfield, Texas, inside of Ancora Event Center on Broad Street. We have weekly tastings, charcuterie board to enjoy, live music, and a new wine club. Go visit our website at oldvinetexas.com to sign up for our newsletter and learn more. Or you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Old Vine, Texas. We'll see you soon.
Welcome to We Know Texas Vino, the podcast that uncorks the stories, the souls, and the science behind Texas wine. I'm your host, Will, and today we're celebrating the women who are redefining and what it means to own and grow a vineyard. Sorry, I'm trying to new script stuff here. Deep in the heart of Texas. These women aren't just growing grapes, but they're cultivating legacies. Welcome, ladies. How are y'all doing today?
Great. Thanks.
So today we have Penny Adams, we have Lisa Kinley, and we have Jackie Mancuso. I'm getting close.
And Lisa Canelli.
Lisa Canelli, like a Canelli. Okay, yeah, I got you.
It's like a cannoli, but I'm not quite that sweet.
Well, real quick, Penny, can you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us who you are, where you've worked at, what you're doing, and we'll go down the line.
All right. So I'm going to try to make it short. Although I've been doing this for 47 years in Texas. Yes, I started when I was young. And when I was growing up in North Dallas-Fort Worth area, my dad's family came, big farming family from the high plains of Texas. And we spent a lot of time out on the farm, our own farm, and picking wild grapes and my grandfather had table grapes up north of Lubbock. We used to run up and down the vine rows and whatnot. And then, so I went to the School of Hard Knocks and decided I was going to go to Texas A&M and get a degree in horticulture. And horticulture encompasses many things.
Uh-huh.
And so you have to kind of funnel your interest into, what that looks like. And I got a work-study co-op job one summer, I believe in my junior year of college. And it was for a guy who had a winery, had a vineyard out west of Austin. And that's where I got the bug. We had about 6 acres of grapes down there that was planted in 1978. That was our first plantings, and that grew to 20-something acres.
Wow.
He convinced me that I needed to go to graduate school, and I went out to Cal State Fresno and got a master's degree in viticulture. Came back to Central Texas and had my own winery and vineyards for a little while, and have worked for many wineries and vineyards over the many years, if you can imagine. After having, my own operation for a while, and so many people wanting to get in this business, it fit me well because I love to teach, and teaching people not to be afraid of plants, in particular, not be afraid of vines.
Right.
So, worked for Wedding Oak Winery as their winemaker. I've worked for Hill Country Wine Cellars over in Cedar Park. So, I've worked for Becker Vineyards, just many vineyards along the way. But it's right now it's consulting and helping other people get into this business.
Now, just for a note, you are the first woman winemaker in Texas.
Yes.
You should wear that proudly.
Yes. So they say. But yes, I made my first Texas wines. The first vintage was in 1982 or 83, something like that.
You don't happen to have a bottle left over, do you?
I do have some older wines. I have opened some recently, and they're holding up very nicely, actually.
Awesome. That's good.
What did you make?
Yeah.
Cabernet. One of my favorite wines of all time was Trebbiano. was asked to bring it to the World Trade Center, to the Fancy Food Show back in '85, I think. The backdrop to my table was the World Trade, in the World Trade Center was the Statue of Liberty. It was like one of those, gifts of a lifetime, really. I was, our industry, our winery was the 5th winery post-Prohibition.
Wow.
So, that was our number, was 05 on the list. And so it was all very new and exciting, and certainly other regions were looking at us and asking us to come and show wines. But the Trebbiano won lots of accolades from my peers that are still in the wine industry today. They remember Penny for her Trebbianos. I made lots of Barbera back when I could grow Barbera out in West Texas.
Wow.
Doesn't like downy mildew here, so anyway, so yeah.
Awesome. I commend you for staying into this as long as you have. And Trebbiano is actually one of my favorite whites.
Excellent.
Lisa, how about you?
Right. So I'm a somm, and I've been a somm for well over 30 years. And so I kind of did a little different approach. I've worked around the world as an importer, exporter, distributor, taught in universities, on TV, on radio, and then obviously restaurants. And taking all of that experience around the world, but then we purchased and had our ranch here. And we were fortunate to be able to expand some 50 acres right next to it. Because, God doesn't make new land very often unless you live near one. But that one opened up. And so it was completely choked with cedar. You couldn't stand up. But our family rose to the challenge. The 4 of us cleared over 34 acres. And
wow.
What must be my children's least favorite Christmas vacation? We had a bulldozer, a skid steer, and a chainsaw. But 34 acres cleared, and now we could make progress. Prior to that, I was just walking up and down the hill, and when all you can do is look down, and you can experience the slope, and then you can see the rock pattern and the soil, or frankly, lack thereof, because I'm all caliche or limestone, which Jackie will tell you too. Limestone is just old caliche. It's the same thing, different patterns up and down. But I knew from being around the world and traveling to different experiences, living places, that this was going to be a beautiful vineyard. So that's how I backtracked my way into the vineyard. And so a lot of it, like you say, is school of hard knocks.
Mm-hmm.
My family has done every single thing out there by ourselves, from planting to all of the pruning and trimming and harvesting. And now we have 3 vintages in bottles. So.
And I had an honor to stay at your little Airbnb last night. And so I woke up to a vineyard. I went to bed with 30-headed deers and dreaming of shooting deers.
It's quiet, right? The stars are big and bright.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's almost nothing more relaxing than the quiet out there, the dark, and almost having, the girls or my vineyard at your back to take care of you.
Well, I remember seeing Lisa post a picture that had turkey eggs in her vineyard. And I literally texted her last night. I said, should I be hearing turkeys tonight? If not, I can get out there and call them.
We keep hearing them, but we don't see them. That poor thing, she laid 11 in a clutch, and we have never had turkeys or anything in the vineyard, so that was kind of funny and weird. We marked her little vine right into the shade of the vine. It's amazing. Huge nest, right? But so we would pass by her, kind of to see how she was doing. Oh my gosh, the attrition rate was honestly just suffocatingly sad. She ended up with 2 eggs.
Aww.
Every night, but it's snakes, it's raccoons, it's whatever. And but they definitely 2 hatched because they were actually the shells.
Yeah.
And then they were gone. And honestly, I've never seen her since.
Oh.
Really, she was kind of just a poacher, though. Like, she lives in the resort type rural property and lives free just because you want to have all your babies right there. But anyway, we loved her. We named her Trixie.
I love it.
Well, Jackie, how about you?
I am Jackie Mancuso, and I have been in the industry almost 20 years. I took my first internship in 2005. And I was going to school at California State University of Chico in Northern California, studying plant science. plant and soil science in the agriculture department with the interest in becoming a pest control advisor. I did not grow up in agriculture. I did not come from any sort of land or, understanding of what it took. I had a distant friend that was a cattle rancher in my area, and I would hang out at his ranch regularly. But I did not enjoy school. So becoming a vet was not on the to-do list, even though I loved animals. So plant science sounded fun. I love golf. I love, the art of growing things. So we took some plant science classes and decided, maybe viticulture was a good idea. Viticulture was not an offering at the college I chose, but I enjoyed my teachers, my advisors enough that I studied the plant biology and I took internships during the summer. And so growing up in the Bay Area of California, I had access to the wine industry, every summer. So I took internships and took my first job out of college at Wente Family Estates, the longest and still to this day family-run vineyard and winery in the United States. I think they're pushing 140 years.
Wow.
Continuously. And so it was a great experience there. I stayed there for about 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. And then I decided to spread my wings and go to Sonoma. And one of my internships, I had a great boss who really showed me the way. And I reached out to him, and he was able to provide me a position in Sonoma at his property that he was currently managing. And so I moved on, went back to work for him, and worked with him for roughly 10 years. We managed over 350 acres throughout Sonoma County. It was a great experience. During that time, labor was getting difficult in California, and our current in-house crew was aging out. And so the average age of my in-house crew was around 60 years old. So it became a challenge to move them systemically through all of our vineyards in an efficient way. And so we decided it was time to go a different route. And so in California, there's a lot of vineyard management companies that you can choose from that will come in and take care of your vineyard. So we went ahead and hired Atlas Vineyard Management to come in, manage our vineyards with the oversight of myself and my boss at the time. I stayed on as more of a pest control advisor, scouted all the acres every week, reported to Atlas what I was seeing for them to create their spray programs. So at that time, it was a great position, but it wasn't fulfilling. I felt like I needed more. And my husband and I were leaving our house every day around 5 a.m. to return around 5, 6 p.m., going opposite directions. It was a commuter town for us. So we decided it was time to start fresh. We were ready for something new. Our neighbors at the time we lived near Travis Air Force Base in California, and our neighbors at the time were from Marble Falls. And they recommended we come check out Fredericksburg. So we booked a trip, came down here, had lunch with Bill Blackman, met with Ab Astris, met with Lost Straw Cellars, and loved it. Spent a week here in the Hill Country and went home, told our parents that we were ready to move. We would stay through the holidays, and then we would be selling our house. And we did exactly that. So we left within 6 months. We got here 2 weeks after the first freeze that you guys experienced in 2021. And we were supposed to come during the week of the freeze and have job interviews. And everybody was like, I don't think it's a good time to come. And I'm like, y'all are farmers. You have 4-wheel drive. What's the big deal? And then, planes were being canceled. Pipes at the hotel were bursting. And I was like, oh, maybe it is a little bit of a big deal. I guess we won't come. And so we drove down 2 weeks later to stay, to live. And so I spent my first year here working for wineries as tasting room associates and cellar hands, and just kind of getting to know the industry and seeing how things were done, and kind of just listening, watching. And after that, I reached out to Atlas and mentioned to them that it would be a great opportunity for them to come down and support this industry like they do in California. And they asked me at that time to present them with a understanding of what's currently here. They had never been to Texas. They didn't know what it was. I said, great. Spent 3 months sitting at the chemical supply store, going to wineries, asking them, would you be interested in this service? Everybody said, yeah, but it'll never work. Everybody continues to try and everybody continues to fail. And I said, all right, well, there's only one way for us to keep moving forward is to really give it a go. We got to try. We got to make something happen. So Atlas was willing to provide me that labor and that efforts. And so we started. We just finished our 4th season here in Texas. I currently have a little over 500 acres I manage throughout the state, mainly here in the Hill Country. I have 25 men that I get through the H-2A worker program. They come up from Michoacan, Mexico, and they stay with me for the season. And they help me work all the vineyards in the area that we are contracted with. And it has been a huge blessing and a great learning experience. I am still learning every day. I do not call myself a master of Texas wine by any means, but it is great to have resources like these ladies and the winemakers in the area that I can reach out to and ask their advice. They've obviously been in this a lot longer than me and understand what the challenges are. So it's been a great community. I really enjoy the Texas wine industry. I think, yes, we're small, but we're working together very well.
That's a very fascinating story because I did read a little bit. So I tried to know a little bit about y'all before I come in here. And I did read a little bit about you, but the in-depth story right here you just gave me a much bigger insight of you. And it's just fascinating that you just said one day, I'm done. I'm coming.
Yeah.
And that's what happens to everybody for Texas. They come to Texas. They're like, oh, we love it here. We're coming to Texas.
Yeah.
And I love that you are inspired so much that you decided like, hey, I want to continue what I did over here and bring it here to Texas. Because I know the few times that I worked in a vineyard, I died 4 times. I don't remember how many.
It's not easy. I like to, we have leadership team meetings with Oregon, Washington, California, and Texas directors every other week. And they always enjoy what Texas has going on because it's either hail, freezing temperatures, 100 days over 100 for the summer, hurricane winds that are snapping trellises in half. There's never a dull day in Texas farming. And they quickly realize that they have it very well in those other states.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And I know for me, in order to be a good winemaker, you got to know what's going on in the vineyard. And so in my progress to learn to be a winemaker, I worked in a vineyard and I would get to the vineyard at 5 a.m. and start working. And by 11 o'clock, I've already drank a 20-gallon thing of water. And I'm sitting under the shade like, I got to figure out how to get way back up there from way back here.
I think it's important that, what I've learned is if you start early in the morning and you acclimate as the sun temperature rises, it makes it a lot easier. I notice like on the weekends, if I sleep in and I don't leave the house till 10 o'clock, that heat, it hurts a lot harder.
It
That's
does.
where siestas come in.
Yeah. Yes.
One of the first vineyards I ever managed was out in Van Horn, Texas. It was a South Padre Island developer. And, he was buying up land, farms out there, and he was growing potatoes and all kinds of things. And he had oil wells, of course. And he had 100 acres of vines out there, 25 acres each of Chardonnay, French Colombard, Merlot, and Ruby Cabernet or something weird. Anyway, the crews, the rows were so long that the crews, of course, had to take all their toilet, their lunch, everything in the field. And it was so emotionally, drain on them because they couldn't even see the end of the road at the beginning of the day, and they could not get there by the end of the day. And so, I come to understand, that vine row lengths mean something. And psyche is part of the challenge with labor in vineyards, definitely.
Yep.
So I have a lot of mine that are well over 1,000 feet long, and that seemed like such a great idea when I initially laid it out. And just get going,
Just do it.
go all the way down until you're doing something that is as individually intensive as pruning, or even just raising or whatever, up and down, harvesting. Every single vine, every single girl takes her own individual attention out there, and you realize, man. I talk to friends, they're like, "Oh, we nailed it. We finished 10 rows today," and I'm like, one. Not always, right? But sometimes, depending on some of these rows, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So long rows are
you can judge people by their. I put a new guy out in the vineyard one time, and I worked with him a long time at pruning. And when I came back in the afternoon, he was only halfway down the row. I was like, you can't spend that much time with each vine. Yes, they're your girls, but you can't spend that kind of time with each vine.
Yep. I remember the first time. So I helped out at Texas Vineyards up in St. Joe. And Amy is like really short compared to me. And some of their trellises are like taller than me. And she needed to tuck vines at the very top. And she would say, well, I need you to go take care of those there. I can't reach those. And so I'll start from the bottom and I'll start working my way up to the top, pruning vines out and stuff, and get to the very top. And I kid you not, there's some of those times those vines will just slap the crap out of me across the face, and I'll have a mark across my face here. And Amy goes, "You got slapped today, didn't you?"
So your eyes all scraped up.
But it's honestly for me, it was. I won't say it like this, and I don't know how y'all feel about it, but sometimes it was therapeutic for me. Not listening to nobody talk to me. I could cut those vines when they get mad. I get mad at them, and it was fine. I was taking my anger out for the whole week out on those vines. Sorry.
That's the only way they can talk back to you, really. Is to give you a big slap in the face. Which, people think our vines, just because we grow grapes in Texas, or we don't have the soil, and yes, we have thin soils and everything, but for the most part, I feel like our vines are more vigorous than they need to be in most sites. Even having farmed the same site for, I think I'd eventually farm out all the nitrogen that was in the soil, but still we have gorilla vines, and people say, oh, my vines are all the way down, 100 feet down the row. Isn't that great, Penny? No. They're not doing it. Yeah. So it's, I think we still have a lot of lessons to learn, and I'm certainly still learning along the way. Lots can change along the way, and the varieties that we choose, that sort of thing, are important.
Well, that leads into the first question here. So what is the one thing that you love about working in a vineyard? I mean, like for me, I said it's therapeutic. What about you, Penny?
Oh, it's absolutely therapeutic. I've always said, as long as I can keep my feet in a vineyard, I'm a happy gal. True and true. I think that there's just something about it when I switch my hats and do winemaking, and you're climbing catwalks and barrels, and all this, physical activity. Yes, it's stimulating, and most people want to do that. The winery work, right? That come into this business. It's hard to convince somebody to stick with the vineyard side of it, but the vines. I guess pruning is my love, and that's what my master's degree was in, pruning and training young vines. And I did my project out at the University of Texas Lands, out in West Texas, in Fort Stockton, Bakersfield area, and it was something else. I mean, the vines there at the time, our internode spacing was like an inch. Think of how many nodes that you have to do. And Jim Evans was my schleppy that was helping me count buds. Because when I was in California, I did a lot of consulting work for Vince Petrucci, who was my main professor and kind of took me under his wing as his Texas girl. But it's a lot of work, but it's understanding the vines, and that diagnostic part of it now is what I love.
Awesome. What about you, Lisa?
Okay, from my perspective, which is maybe ever so slightly, because it's all us, and so it's all hours, and we've done it all ourselves, from clearing the land to planting and digging the things, and then it's our process. And so I think one of the most beautiful things now is seeing the progress, how it goes. And then even, I always say the difference between a vineyard and working in the winery is in the vineyard, you kind of have to be somewhat reactive. Try to be proactive, but a lot of that isn't up to you. The rains, the hail, the temperatures, there's nothing you can do to guard.
We're farmers.
They're farmers. So it is truly farming. But in the winery, you have a lot more control. So I think watching and curating and growing that land to be the very best it can be, which is what we've been trying to do, and do it as naturally as possible. So sometimes it's nice just to go out there. But the other thing is sharing it with others. I bring people out on many occasions out, even with, I do a vineyard stroll, so it's a tour, and we talk about what is happening in the vineyard right now, because there's always something. I mean, in January, there's a conversation to have, because they're all naked. All the leaves are gone, but you can see the incredibly intricate and beautiful skeletal structure, basically, of the vine. And so now you can talk about, like, what's going to happen next year? How can I make this more productive? Or going to make it less productive, because, wow, that was crazy last year, right? So that, I think, the watching it develop and grow, knowing that it's mine. So that's a lot of responsibility, but also pride.
Right.
And I've got really great views, so there's that too. My office has all the big windows and all the open space.
I think for me, something I've really gotten into since I came to Texas is development. So starting new vineyards, seeing the land as fallow and bare, and whether that's clearing the ground or if the land's already been cleared, and then laying out the blocks, finding the shape that it flows with the lay of the land, and then seeing it come to life, working with the client to understand their goals, what they're interested in the winery, but also how many tons we're looking to produce, what varieties we're looking to, what is our end goal there. But I really enjoy the development process, laying it out, seeing it come up right, and then putting those vines in the ground and seeing the customer's eyes light up. I think my team enjoys that as well. I think they really enjoy seeing the steel as it comes together. So it's been fun doing developments here in Texas. Each one is so different from the last. We have ones that go in very easily, no rock in the ground at all, and ones that are on pure rock with 6 inches of soil. So it's a new challenge every day, and I think my team has really come together and embraced the challenge of the next site that we're going to put in.
And I know for me and my mom and my stepdad, we're fixing to do a vineyard also. They've got 5 acres in East Texas. I said, "You're not doing anything with it. Let's grow some grapes." And they looked at me like I was crazy, and I said, "Well, let's do it." And we've already cleared off 1.5 acres already. And so we've already done our perk tests on the ground. We've already dug the soil up. We've got like sand for like first 1.5 feet, and then the next 1.5 feet is black clay. They've got 3 wells underneath them, so we're good with on the water. So we're kind of excited. So I'm glad you actually said that. So make sure I get your contact information afterwards, because I'm too old to be out in the heat.
No.
Well, I mean, I've had heat. I used to be an offshore oil welder.
Okay.
And so I've had heat exhaustion twice.
Yeah.
And the doctor said, don't make it a third time.
Yeah.
So being in the heat too much is a bad thing. And Texas heat is not hot. It's hot and then humid.
Yeah.
So it might be 80 degrees outside, but the humidity makes it 110.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I think one very valuable thing that you say is the layout. You can clear it all you want and choosing the grapes, which Penny, you're influential in helping people select the grapes and as your clients.
Yes.
That's pretty important. But then like making sure it makes sense, the flow forever, because these are not annual plantings. I mean, you're going to keep doing that. And so how does it make the most sense for you and for production? And wind comes into play, water flow comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully,
how big the rows are so you get the tractor up and down.
Yep.
Yeah.
last, a vineyard might last 20, 25 years here in Texas due to our challenges we are dealt. But if you put the steel in correctly, hopefully it lasts at least 2 vineyard.
Oh, yeah.
times.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I don't know if y'all are familiar with a lot of North Texas wineries, but one of her name's KK. Love the woman. She's great. She's been one of my I just went blank. She's been kind of mentor. That's the word I'm looking for. We had a tornado hit up her property, knocked down a lot of her trellises and stuff. And, because most of her trellises were already well established, a lot of it was just literally just picking the end poles back up and replanting them. And then waiting until after growing season was over, they replaced everything, got it resolid again. And man, she's got some amazing trellis. In fact, actually, when I go out there, I kind of smile every time I drive by. I was like,
I did that.
That was really strong. That's really fun.
But I mean, you're right. In order for good vines to grow, you got to have a good structure. You don't have a good structure, you're not going to have great vines. They're not going to produce. They're not going to do anything hardly. So,
and I think also to that same extent, proper spacing matters. Understanding how many vines are actually planted in that acre, so you can do your calculations. All the way from your labor and what your labor is producing per hour to how many tons per acre you're producing. If you aren't planting on a solid spec, I think you're doing yourself a disservice.
You end up recalculating a lot.
Yeah.
Even with your chemical usage,
Exactly.
water usage. I mean, so much of this just flows into keeping it going.
Yes.
But specs are important. Maps are good.
Sure.
Making adjustments to the maps.
So, growing season is a big deal here in Texas. As you know, Jackie, coming here from California, that the springtime can be chaotic. You may have winds, you may have tornadoes, you may have hail, you may have rain, you may not have anything at all. With all that being said, so what time during the growing season, from bud break till harvest, is your favorite time of the year for all three of y'all?
Well, I think part of that, before your question, you talked about, it being so different than California. Mm-hmm. And I think that is something that I have to constantly remind people when they come from my team from other parts of the state or other parts of the country. Texas may break bud at the same time as California, March 15th, roughly, but we grow so much faster. So we are hitting bloom a month before California's
Mm-hmm.
hitting bloom, and we're hitting harvest a month or 6 weeks before California's. So I think the challenges involved in staying ahead or on top of your farming tasks here in Texas are just astronomical. It's just insane how quickly we move. So taking a day off is not allowed. But to answer your question, I'm different because in California, and maybe I'm not different, but I feel like I'm different. I think pulling leaves is something that's valuable here.
Mm-hmm.
We typically farm with hail nets, and hail nets are very dense. And so getting your sprays through that canopy, the penetration, if you have a full canopy, depending on the variety and the hail net's up, I think it can be a challenge for the fruit to mature evenly, sprays to be impacted. So I think this year we really got at it with pulling leaves, pulling laterals, and I think it actually really saved us in the fact that, those July rains came in so heavy and strong. Our canopies were more open than maybe some of our neighbors, and I think that was a big yes, we did this right. Now, last year when it was 100 degrees over 100 days of 100 degrees, maybe that would have not been the right answer. So I got lucky this year. Maybe next year I won't be as lucky. But I do enjoy seeing the canopies manicured.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that leaf and lateral removal stage is a fun one for me. It brings excitement to me. I could start to see those clusters hanging.
Okay. Awesome.
Gosh. Okay. So, again, my perspective, I live out there. My family's there. But I also bring, as I was saying earlier, global experience from this. Because moving around with the Air Force, it wasn't just I did different jobs in one location. I moved 18 times from age 23 to 49. And that's a lot.
Yeah.
And it's great, I thought, because I was able to learn a lot of different cultures, languages, and practices, and make the friends and family. But the one thing that stayed visceral to me, and when we started this, is it is my family. It is my land, but then the celebration of it. And so, I mean, I can easily say, oh, I love blue because it's so pretty out there. I love budburst. But I suppose my absolute favorite is harvest because we invite in friends, family, and volunteers to come, and we all do it together. And there's a lunch. I have like music, and it's just we talk about the season, but people do a little bit of the work. I mean, not all of it. They get out there and work and harvest, which is so edifying because you can hold these clusters and grapes in your hands. The little cluster of Tempranillo is the size of my face.
Yes.
They're big, and that's fun for people. But then to see that it's wine later, and that whole thing, the celebration of the harvest table, was something in Italy when I lived there. And everybody went and helped each other out, and just that was good. So I guess really, really, I would always say harvest because it brings everybody back to my vines. Am I way out of whack? Yeah, I go too much.
Your earrings are channeling around the microphone.
My earrings, so yeah.
I'm sitting there trying to figure out what that noise is. I'm like, what is that noise?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you turn and I saw your earring. I was like, oh, it's your earring.
So I'm going to be a little bit different here, I think. For me, there's several times of the year that are my favorite. And one is the fall, post-harvest, when I'm doing all the calculations of, how many pounds per vine did I produce in each one of my blocks, how much labor inputs, how much costing went into that versus the returns, right? So you're doing all of that calculation and planning for next year. Hey, you're evaluating the accomplishments this year. Did we lay down enough cordon? Did we lay down too much? Whatever. Does it need, 20 more buds put up next year, pruning or whatever? So you have an idea going into the winter and coming out the other side because the season starts so fast and it's just furious. But the other favorite time of year I've said is wintertime, and pruning is my first love. Is the whole balance of the vine being so important, and not pruning it. The example I always give people is, imagine yourself, you're going to see your granny, and she has a beautiful rose going around her porch, and every time she climbs up those little stairs, the rose bushes snag her clothes or whatever. And you say, well, I'm just going to cut that dadgum thing down. And so you cut it down. Well, guess what? It grows twice as vigorous when you cut it down. So it really, you get people to understand that concept, and they understand, oh, so I need to leave more wood in those very vigorous varieties to not Alianico, that sort of thing. There's still a few varieties that I'm trying to master after all these years. And Alianico is one of those kick me in the butt varieties that I plan on mastering at some point.
I think the people who grow Alianico has the patience of that I don't have. I have zero patience sometimes. I mean, I love growing things also. And again, so I don't know if most of y'all know that I'm an IT architect engineer. Everything I've done hands-on. I learned by hands-on. So for me to understand how grape growing happens, I planted 12 vines in my backyard. Dug me a nice little trench down. I put me a little soaker hose in the ground. I put a little, 2 inches of soil on, and I planted my vines on top of that. Put me a nice little trellis up. Within about 2 weeks, man, they're already blowing up on top of the vines. I've got some clusters already showing up. I'm clipping them off. I'm very proud of that. Very proud of that. And then my Great Pyrenees got a hold of them. She thought they were tug of war.
It didn't shy you away from having your family plant more vines.
Oh, no. Because they don't have a Great Pyrenees out there.
You didn't make it to that hard work.
But, and I commend all y'all for all the hard work that y'all did, because growing a vineyard is not easy. There's a lot of planning going on. And then on top of all that, you got to look at your soil, and then you're sitting there digging your soil, and all of a sudden you come across maybe a small limestone rock. You got to determine, do I need to drill through that or do I need to dig it up? And so you got to figure all that, and you got to plan for all that, because if you don't plan for it, all of a sudden you have something that comes in your way. It's not in your budget. You're done blowing that budget.
I've had probably 34 acres that I've rock sawed with a 30-inch rock saw down the vine rows, just to, and then push all the soil, the fines back into it, so that when you actually go in and put the post hole digger in there, it's like butter. It's not like you ruin a lot of tips on your post hole diggers otherwise. But yeah,
I saw an entire hill and then still have to use a rock auger when I'm planting. Because of the layers of.
Well, thank goodness for limestone and vines that love to grow in limestone.
They do, because it's a rock, right? But it's still at least porous enough they can fracture it. And the caliche, love it and hate it, it's still clay. And clay retains water. They don't want it goozing all over the place, but I feel like it's inspirational to them for it as well. So get through that limestone and get back to the caliche. There's some sticky water in there. So, but you're absolutely right. Sometimes it's going through. I think too, people don't realize how much data we all use. I know when people come out, they're like, "Oh, this is so beautiful. It's so romantic," and they kind of just imagine. I'm like feeling them or looking at them and thinking, maybe you need nitrogen. Well, there's so much data collection that we all do. Sampling of the vines, sampling of the soil.
You can't get better unless you take data.
Right. Make good decisions with data. It's not emotional.
And analyze what you've done that year, and where you need to. Maybe you had 4 labor passes in that block, but you only needed 2. So determining how many labor passes, getting booked with a labor crew to make sure you're on the queue, because you can't get in every vineyard at the most opportune time.
You can schedule if you need.
Yeah, exactly. If you miss this window of opportunity to do your leaf removals, to do your lateral removals and stuff, it's going to take you twice as long or more to do it 2 weeks from then. So, but everybody can't be on her list, every variety, and it doesn't always work like that. In some years, it's more organic, and we get to slot things in, but you have to be cognizant of what's in your vineyard and how you need to be farming it in the future. We put there's a lot management per acre here in Texas, and the hill country is. Some people say, I know Bill Blackman used to say $10,000 an acre managing cost of a vineyard, but my costing doesn't go that high. I'm not, it could be plus or minus, right? Depending upon how well you sited your vineyard and how well you got it right the first time in planting and development.
I think variety specific is a huge cost driver.
Yes.
Timing, like you were saying, if you choose to do the suckering early because the crew's available, well, you're going to have to go a second pass because there's going to be more stuff pushing. But, also timing of pulling those leaf and laterals. If we get it right after berries set, the acclimation of the heat is that much better because they're growing as they're being exposed to the sun. But I think costs are variety specific, site specific, especially. What rootstock are we dealing with? If we got 1103P out there, your labor costs are going up. 110R labor costs are going down, depending on your site. And also, are you farming conventionally? Are you farming? Are you shooting for the sustainable certification? So those are all driving factors of what cost per acre is going to be.
It's amazing when we talk about that. Some people. Well, let me back up a little bit. When I went to Grayson College to do viticulture and enology, the first thing he said for the viticulture stuff, he goes, "I'm here to take the romance out of vineyard owning." Because a lot of people think there's a lot of romance in it. There is, as long as you're single. But because, your thought might be one way and their thought might be a different way. And now you're going to fight over it. So where's the romance in it now? But, you're right. You have to go in and do a lot of planning. You got to do a lot of forecasting also, because you got to say, okay, what is the weather going to be like this next year? And you don't know until it finally shows up. And then you're like, okay, I totally shot that one out of the water. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, building a budget for what the customers expect to spend for the season, but then we get hit with a spring frost, and now we lost, the first 6 inches, which is what basically happened in 25, and we're dealing with, frost damaged vines, and how are we going to manage those vines to maybe have something? So yeah, there's only so much we can help the grower or the vineyard owner understand. But nature is going to determine, how much rain did we get? Okay, well, that's going to determine how many mow passes, how many herbicide passes, how many hedging passes. We can turn the water off, but we can't turn the rain off.
Yep, 100%. Well, this year we did have a very rainy season this year. And I know that some of the vineyards up around the North Texas and the High Plains, bricks were coming in at 23 for a red. And I know there's several different wineries right now didn't budget to have to chaptalize their wine this year. And now they're having to budget in sugar to chaptalize because they need to get the bricks, up high enough so they can get the alcohol out of it. So, yeah, you can never predict the seasons ever.
Not everything. You try to mitigate those by being good decision makers, good managers of your labor and materials and the farm, what the good Lord gives us to farm with, in terms of weather and that sort of thing. But this year was really challenging, a lot longer year than normal. Yeah. And a lot of it was because we had secondary crop that came after the primaries were lost to late spring frost. So, it did damper, some of my clients, they just, oh, well, it's okay. Penny's calm about it, so we'll be calm about it. But other times it's like,
that's the best part.
hold my hand.
So with that being said, how many of y'all actually read the Farmer's Almanac to kind of use that to predict the next season?
I read it, but I don't. I trust the local German farmers here more than I do the Farmer's Almanac that I buy at the feed store.
Right.
The guys sitting around the feed store and whatnot playing pinochle are the best guys to talk to.
Absolutely. Well, because again, Farmer's Almanac isn't location specific, right? And I mean, even as Jackie said, Texas is Texas. They should make Texas farmers something very specific. But good luck, because it really wouldn't. I don't know.
It's rarely.
The things that we are perpetually reacting to. You can even say, I don't know how many days it'll be like 0% chance of rain. Nothing's going to happen.
And then all of a sudden it rains.
10 o'clock, it does nothing but rain for the next 4 hours. And if it's lightning, everybody's got to bail out of the vineyard because it's a death zone. All the metal and stuff. Yeah. Yep.
Good times.
I keep it, though. I like to have it around as a joke sometimes.
Right.
Instead of doing something after my father.
So have worked in the vineyards, have made wine and stuff. If all your experience that you have from the day one till now, what was the one thing that you know now that you wish you knew back when you first started doing this? I know that's a very big question.
Dig deep, Betty.
Let her drink of water first.
Oh, no, going for some wine for you here? Think long and hard.
Yeah. I think, had I known, so I feel like we have learned in Texas how to grow grapes really well, good quality, right? Most growers will say, no, I just want quality, but they want quantity too, right? That's what all the High Plains growers will tell you anyway. Oh, but then, I've got 8 tons per acre. Yay! No. And I think we've proven that we can grow grapes here in the hill country and have significant quality here. But yeah, I think the quality factor is we've met our mark. The quality in the vineyards and the cellars. We've learned how to make really good wines in the cellar. Used to be, I kid you not, back in the day, there were some really bad Texas wines. I will say that my wines were not very good.
That's admirable that you admit to it.
Right. But I think the thing that I wished I had known then is that no matter what you're making, whether you're making saddles or boots or hats or whatever you're making, you have to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
It has to go full circle. And so I remember being out at an event out at Fall Creek Vineyards many years ago, and there was this old cowboy that worked on their ranch, and we were having an event out there. And I'm shy, and I usually sitting on the fence. He was literally sitting on the fence, with his boots like he was around a corral or something. But the gentleman said to me, well, we can make all that wine, but can we sell it? And I was like, yeah, you got a point there. So I feel like that's our challenge today is learning how to sell it. So you got to be like Lisa and be able to sell your product. And we can figure out how to grow grapes, and it does take some perseverance to get clients to hold back. And it's not about making 100 acres of grapes or whatever. It really is about quality fruit. So it's a sales part.
Okay.
I would say I'm an enthusiastic person. Everybody's ever met me knows this. And I can sometimes bite off more than I should or can chew at the time. And so for me, my initial planting, I did 7 acres, which, if you plant 100 acres at one time, I did 7 acres, but I had me and one person, and that was it. And look, watch most of them were like, whoa, because that's a lot of new grapes to put in the ground and try to keep up with and manage when you're brand new at this. So I would say having an honest understanding of your capabilities. Now, I may think I can do anything, but let's be honest, I can't do everything. And so having that perspective moment, I would have reined it in a little bit. Would I have changed the vineyard? Would I have changed my grapes? No. Would I have changed any of the wonderful friendships that I've made doing this? Because honestly, when I was in trouble, I could pick up the phone, and still to this day, I believe I could call anybody up and down out here and get help, advice, loan me a tool. But at some point, you'll figure out how many people you have to be walking up and down and managing that. And maybe guess a little bit less than you think. Or at least I need to guess less for that. Everybody's like, yes.
For me, new clients, I'm always saying, why don't we plant 2 or 3 acres first and see if you really like it, and see if you can handle that.
Yeah.
And then we can incrementally go.
I did 7 acres of green vines. So then you had to get those little guys in the ground in 2.5 weeks, and that's okay because every day was an adventure. The weirdest one was the first day when the deer managed to go over my blockade because I had them all under my mezzanine, and apparently it was a free breakfast. Very delicious.
It's easy.
It was awful.
Salad bar open for free.
Exactly. Everyone, come on. Anyway, that was Go, Jackie.
I would have to agree with both these ladies on quality versus quantity is a big one. Biting off more than you can chew. But I also think probably a good lesson I've learned and I like to really teach my clients is we don't need to have grapes the first or second season. Let's really understand the root zone and get the roots established before we go above ground and establish the vine. So taking that slow process of putting the vines in the ground, working on the root system, and then training the trellis or the trunks and the cordons over, 18, 24, 36 months, depending on what rootstock we're dealing with, and getting that structure ready to support the crop. I think everybody gets really excited and they want their first crop. And so I think it's really important to try and pull back. And one way that I like to do that, and I've brought to Texas, and it's what I did in California very often, is in the vineyard grafting. So I am selecting a rootstock based on the soils and the goals and planting that rootstock. And then once that rootstock is established for 12 months, I bring in grafters who are that specialized in, that's all they do. They come in and we have budwood that we've purchased from the nursery, and they graft those vines in the field. And so we do field grafting. We then are focusing on training the trunks that second season. It is still the same timeline as if you were to plant a green or a dormant vine, a field graft or a bench grafted vine, but you are allowing that client to focus on just the roots the first season and understanding like this is the most important part. So I think from wanting quantity and quality to slowing down the process and really getting them to understand the importance of vine structure before production is something
that's definitely one way to do the grafts in the field. We've started actually field grafting and changing over varieties. Oftentimes these new growers, they want to plant all, let's plant 7 varieties. And so like over at High Top, I don't know if you've been over there recently, we grafted over 2 of those blocks.
Yes, we harvested it this year. It looks great.
So it's like, it can be done. It's a lot of work the first year after, the first year of grafting, but you can sling them back into production pretty quickly. And there's so many acres of grapes in Texas that aren't the right variety. Lots of grapes are going bad on the vines for the many years now. Used to be, we didn't have enough fruit in Texas, and everybody was, I'm gonna steal Bill Blackman's vine grapes off the end of the truck because I know they're going to his vineyard, his place next, drop them off. So literally there was theft going on during harvest, because there wasn't enough fruit in the state. Now we've got so much fruit, and people need to stop planting and start focusing on quality and grafting over varieties that aren't well suited to here. Just because there's more varieties than we have to keep planting them. However, I will say that I think there are some varieties that haven't yet made it to us yet. You know, some newer varieties coming in that, Picpoul Blanc is one of the examples. Of course, it's been here for 4 or 5 years now, but
it's doing great.
It's doing great.
Yeah.
Especially North Texas. It does really good in North Texas.
We're limited by what we plant, by what's available at the nurseries in California. So as they bring in new varieties and we see what they can do, it's incumbent upon us really to try them out in areas. And when we see or not that they're not any good, so getting my growers to buy into, I am an old timer too. I'm gonna figure this pioneering out and determine if these growers. Todd over at High Top Vineyard is doing phenomenal, and the cab is doing phenomenal. So the Negro Amaro got grafted over, and the Graciano got grafted over. Those were producing less than a ton per acre. It's not that we were looking at tonnage. It's just that you were farming leaves.
Yeah.
And there was no way to.
But we harvested the Tanat this year, first year grafted. And what was it, 4 tons to the acre? Something was up there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's pretty
phenomenal. I'll reach you down there. So it's the bottle there.
Okay. Well, I'll take some since you're forcing it on me.
Come on, I know the maker.
Well, it's polite to let the woman have the last drop. So
that's you.
So, coming toward the end of the show here, is there anything else that we didn't talk about that you want to talk about? Because this is all about y'all. This is not about me. This is about y'all. Up to this point, I find it, a lot of we're in a society where it's men driven. I'm a man. it's driven. Okay, we all know that. But in the back end, there's a lot of women who are pioneers into this industry, not just in industry, but a lot of other industries. And I felt we need to focus on y'all for a while so y'all can get the notoriety. And so, is there anything else y'all want to talk about? I mean, I find all y'all very fascinated with all the background that you have and way you do things, because we us men are stubborn. And y'all I like how Lisa just looked away from you real fast.
I mean, I think when I started in the industry and went to my grower meetings and pesticide continuing education meetings, I was in a room of 50, 60 men, and their average age was 50 to 60 years old. And I was probably one of 3 women, and I was terrified. That table has turned, especially in the Napa-Sonoma Valley. Women are really moving into the industry as vineyard managers, directors, and winemakers. And I think if you're passionate and you're interested, you got to put in the sweat, you got to put in the tears. But your place is here. It's been paid for you, and you're valuable. If you were to see women versus men in the field working, we have smaller hands. We're more attention to detail. We are seeing things that the male crews are not seeing. Our place is here. We have a place for it. I personally have been transporting my equipment throughout the state. I haul my tractor every day somewhere. So size doesn't matter. You can do it just like a female firefighter. Technique versus body weight is driven, and I think you just have to put in the hard work. You can't expect to be handed a position.
Uh-huh.
Well, and hydraulics are important. I once had, really early on, because I was doing so much by hand, I was like, that's fine, I can do all this. And an old German rancher came over and he was like, why are we not using the skid steer for this, right?
Yeah.
And now, I mean, my skid steer has always been my
right hand.
She is my best friend out there, right? And also, it's a big piece of equipment. So to say, just because you're a girl, you can't. I've driven every single thing out there, from the biggest rock saw, bulldozers, but the skid steer every damn time. I'm the best one out there for her, and she's ornery. But so to understand that you have tools, and I think the other really good difference between men and women farmers ranchers is we'll reach out to each other. I mean, I'm not afraid to ask a question or say this is what happened here, and respectfully take the answer. So
agree.
Yeah,
I agree with these two. The women work phenomenally well in young vine training and the canopy management practices that we do every year, should be doing. They understand about vines, to me, a lot more than my male crews do. They just want to get through with it, right? And, there are facets of our industry that we drive tractors. I think that's probably why I got my first jobs, was because Penny drove a tractor when she was a young girl out at the farm. It was one of the things we did. But I know I've been asked several times, actually, might have been in a Wine Sense meeting years ago, what do people not know about you as a winemaker? I said, well, that I'm a dadgum good forklift driver. When you're unloading truckloads of fruit and lifting barrels up, 5 stacks high, empty or full, it takes some finessing.
Mm-hmm.
And women can do this. It's just a matter of wanting to learn. For me, it was like, okay, back in the day, I was the vineyard person and the winery person, and there weren't other people to do it. So you just do it.
Just do it.
Yep.
Stand up and
It's the same thing when fixing diesel engines. People are like, I didn't know you knew how to fix a diesel engine. Well, I didn't wait for somebody to come out and help me.
Yeah.
guys can do that. I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes lifting huge, heavy things.
Ask me to hang a picture. Probably not going to be able to do it, but change the batteries in my truck or tractor. Sure, I can handle that.
Yeah.
Well, I just have one question that literally just popped in my head, and this is a really good concern for the generations coming up. Our generation nowadays have the attention span of a nanosecond. Okay. And here we have all these great wineries, all these great vineyards are just here. And I know of 3 wineries right now that have vineyards that their kids have zero desire to work in that. How do y'all feel about that?
Well, it's a generational business, and you have to have that plan in mind. I mean, my little boys, they grew up in the wine and vine business. I mean, they were out in the pickle buckets in the freezing cold weather with their heads sticking blankets tucked around them when I was out pruning in the freezing cold weather. They were at the end of the bottling line or at the destemmer crusher shoveling stuff out. And this occupation was something they knew that I had worked so hard in. They didn't want anything to do with farming. So I've got an engineer and electrician sons, but now they're kind of seeing the whole, oh yeah, maybe I would like to live in the hill country and make some wine and grow some grapes. So
that's totally valid because it's a lot of work. And I mean, I told you guys, my family, the boys, and we cleared it. We did it all ourselves. And for 4 years, Ransom, my youngest son, was there as my vineyard manager. He's actually an aerospace engineer, mechanical aerospace engineer.
Wow.
He's decided to go back and do that for a while because that's what he does and it's his passion. I do think things ultimately roll in, though, that it's family. And I guess the other place that I see that was when I was talking about living in Italy and how it's a community-based thing as well. So family isn't necessarily just to whom you pass it down, your actual lineage. Your lineage has a reach and an impact. And all of us, and when you have a good farm and you reach out to people, they are part of your family. So there's that. And I do think that the nanosecond mentality is hard. I mean, Jackie just told you, sometimes you're waiting a year or two for trunks, but you're not getting, this is not fast. In Italy, okay, I know I keep bringing them up, but they say you plant grapes for your children and you plant olives for your grandchildren.
Oh, yeah.
Just let that sink in.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not getting everything in its fullest potential when you planted it. So having grace, but also I would say realizing that your family's bigger than you think.
I think both of these women hit it spot on, and I think the way you're raising your children, the way I was raised, plays a big role in how the children of today's world are going to, develop into humans and employees. I think it's very important that if you as a parent has a passion, that you share that with your child, whether it's athletics or farming. I think showing them that you dedicate part of your life to your goals, your commitment, that they see that every day. I like to marathon on the side, run marathons. And while I don't have children, I think it's important that I share that while I'm not farming, my dedication to my body and my sport is super important to me. And people question my sanity because they think I've done a marathon just farming, and now I'm training for a marathon in December. And I just think that, it's really important that we show this generation that having gratitude at our fingertips is not the right thing. I think, at some point it would be great for us to work towards no phones Friday through Sunday or no phones on Sabbath, just to dial our bodies back in each week.
Yes.
I haven't gotten there yet. I'm not one to say that I am not on my phone 24/7, but it's something we all need to work towards.
I carry 2 phones around with me.
Grounding, though. To me, this industry is very grounding, and especially the vineyard side of it. Yes, we need phones to do our work. Even as viticulturists, we're using those things. But to me, tuning in and relating to the vines and how they're responding to what you're doing to them or not. It's super important. So
I think my men in the vineyard, they get to see it from start to finish every year. They're with me from January 15th to October 15th, and they prune those vines and they harvest those vines, or they develop that vineyard and now they get to see the first harvest. And I think, just having that buy-in, that understanding of this is their product that they produced and they get to see it go to market, and then providing them with a party at the end of it with the wines that they are, growing. I think they really are proud of their work, and you see it in them, and they show up every day with a full heart. And I've been blessed with great crews, and they're really doing a great job for this industry down here.
Nice.
Passion and commitment's critical.
Yeah.
And from all levels.
Yeah.
And so whether she's talking about your crew guys all the way through ownership and in between, and if you don't find a way to somehow stay connected with what's happening with those vines, what's coming out of it or what's not, and then what's wrong.
Right.
I mean, I'm notable for saying I grow vines. The grapes are kind of an amazing and very important side hustle.
Yeah.
But all my work is for the vines.
Right.
And blood, sweat, tears, more money, and water, whatever, everything.
Yep.
So that has to be impactful, but also you can't do it every day if you're not passionate about it. If you're not somehow committed to, if it's the end product or if it's those who surround you. And this industry, I do think, imbues that even more than others. I mean, this isn't banking. This isn't something where people go to an office and check in. And it's also a different type of farming than if you have a rotational grass crop or something like that. This one, in for the long haul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, I appreciate y'all's time coming out here today. I know y'all have been busy with harvest, actually coming to the final end of it already and getting ready to put vines to sleep for this winter. But starting with Jackie down there, if people want to do a vineyard management or need some help with their vineyard, how can people get hold of you?
Yes. Thank you so much for having me today. I am with Atlas Vineyard Management, and you can find us on atlasvm.com. You can reach out to me. I am on Instagram. I am available. My email is listed on our website. And I'll leave a card for you. You can put it in the show notes.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Lisa, how can people find you if they want to come out and drink some of your wine and help you in the vineyard?
Yeah, so I'm Diamond Vineyards. So diamonds are a girl's best friend. They can play into the girl thing that way. Diamond Vineyards in Fredericksburg. I'm a mile and a half from Lichtenbach. I do regular events. I have a launch coming up October 18th of the 23 vintage. We have music, games, wine, food, and all the things. So easy to find Instagram, Facebook, Diamond Vineyards, though. Come see me.
And Penny, if somebody needs some consulting or needs some help in making wine, how can they get hold of you?
So again, I'm Penny Adams with Vineco Vineyard and Winery Consulting, and Penny at vinecotexas.com.
Awesome. Again, thank you, ladies, for coming out here.
Cheers.
Real quick, I'll let everybody know where you can find the podcast. Cheers.
Cheers. Beach song. Cheers, gang.
But you can find our show at We Know Texas Vino on any kind of podcasting platform. Also on YouTube at We Know Texas Vino, and then of course Facebook as well. So, and then of course I want to hit my sponsors real quick. So Texas Wine Lover. Love the great app. In fact, that's how we got together, is because of Amy. Love Amy to death. We've had, in fact, actually the first night I met with her and Jeff, we drank a whole bunch of wine that night.
Easy to do.
And then, of course, if you're trying to find any kind of place to get wine or anything, the Texas Wine Lover app is a really great app for that. And then, of course, one of my other sponsors is Old Vine Texas in Mansfield, Texas, who brings in hill country wines to the North Texas, because there's a lot of people who don't want to drive the 4 hours down here to drink wine. Well, you can just go to Old Vine, Texas, and you can drink some wine there, which I need to get with you about, Eric. And then, of course, my favorite one, this is actually kind of a very unique one, is High Camp Flask. If you actually look at it, it looks like a old school Coleman thermos is what it looks like. Both ends detach. Our magnetic tumbler on the end of it. It holds a bottle of wine for the perfect temperature for 24 hours. Absolutely phenomenal. And I'm actually working on trying to be a wholesaler for them.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So as soon as that happens, we're going to town.
Yeah, right?
Oh, cool. Great.
Oh, man.
Thanks so much.
As we're coming to this show, we always do quotes. And I love doing this because I love finding new quotes. And I started running out of quotes and I started letting ChatGPT do this for me. And there's some good stuff out there. And then I'm like, really? So these are the two that I came up with. In every bottle of Texas wine, there's a little bit of dust, a little sun, and a lot of heart. I thought that goes really well with what's
Very good. Love it.
And then this last one here, this was my mom approved one, okay? He said it's him or the wine. I said, yeehaw, pour another glass. Well, this is Will.
Penny.
Lisa.
Jackie.
And this is We Know Texas Vino. Cheers.
Cheers.